everyone, and welcome by the BYOU Podcast. I'm so excited to share with you today Jill Jones. She is not only a yoga therapist, but she is also an herbalist. She knows everything about plant-based medicine, and I'm so grateful to welcome you, Jill Jones.
Thank you, Jenny.
Wow.
I'm so glad to be here. I am passionate about yoga and Ayurveda herbalism. They are an amazing healing duo. They were sister sciences when they came about in India 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. They were as much inspired by seers of the day as the Bible was in its day. So many of things are definitely God-given. They're so healing. We look at, I love herbalism first and foremost. Yoga has it's a sister, but I feel like herbalism is the very neatest science of all, because we look at the trees and we just see beautiful foliage. But those trees, if they weren't there, we wouldn't be able to breathe. And likewise, they wouldn't be there if we didn't give them carbon dioxide. But I find it incredibly interesting that, you look at the human lung and you see the very same structure that you do in the tree limbs. So to me, this is very indicative of how, we come together like this with nature. So there's so many herbs that are so helpful without the side effects of our present day medicine. I like Google, for instance. Google is it's spelled Guggul, unlike our Google on the internet. And it is an amazing herb. It does a lot of things, but it helps to lower cholesterol. It can do it within a 6-month period of time, and there is really little to no side effects at all. And people recover from that very easily. They feel good. And the same is true with something like Arjuna. Arjuna was our prime character in the Bhagavad Gita, which I find really interesting. And Arjuna is one of those herbs. It does a lot of things. And that's the thing about herbs is that they don't do just one thing. We may prescribe it for a certain thing, but it does so much more. So you may get another healing effect, and that would be your other side. That would be a side effect. You'd get healing in another area. But Arjuna is a tree bark, and it is great for lowering blood pressure. And these are things that are so common in our world today. And of course, when we talk about those things, we talk about stress. So yoga, this is where yoga comes in. Yoga has pranayama, which are breath practices. And we have meditation. So all these things are so helpful in bringing balance back to our bodies, because balance is, in the old way of thinking, balance is health. Balance is equal to health. Today, we treat symptoms in mainstream medicine. And believe me, there are some very good things about mainstream medicine. So I'm not that it can work in tandem, because some of the, if we didn't have antibiotics, if we didn't have some of the steroids, although, there are herbs that act like the steroidal kinds of things, So all of those are in there. The thing that's really interesting about Ayurveda is that we treat according to doshas. The doshas, there are 3 of them. We have the Vata dosha, the Pitta dosha, and the Kapha dosha. And these people always wonder, well, how does this happen? How does this come about? But it's actually, it is a numerical geometrical division. So it's based on something very scientific. So we are all proportions of each of those doshas, each of those characteristics, constitutions within us. So, in Ayurveda, we try to treat the person according to the doshas. Like Vata, the Vata dosha is like air and ether,
Yeah.
and the Pitta dosha is fire and water. And so if you have inflammation, you could have a Pitta imbalance, or you could just be a hot cookie, as somebody who has a high, a temper, or easily, has
Yeah.
a temper that is quick. Kapha tends to be slow and, tends to be wet. So the kapha people usually are of the water and earth elements. So we treat according to that. And the dosha is known as something that is actually an out of balance. So if you translated it from Sanskrit. So we actually all have that, and we just try to bring everything into balance. That is the whole thing about the doshas. But there are many little, more aspects about that. But with Ayurveda, it is such a good thing in today's diseases. We, diabetes is on the rise in every country. It's, here in the United States, it's 11 to 12%. People don't even realize they have it, but one of the side effects, it's actually a disintegration of the whole metabolism. So other things happen, like heart disease. Heart disease is really a part of that whole syndrome. And so with treating diabetes, it can actually be reversed in some situations. If it isn't too late, if you catch it early stages, it could be reversed. And even if it can't be reversed, we can bring a lot more comfort, a lot more balance to those people suffering from that. One of my other specialties is MS, multiple sclerosis. That's on the rise also. And that is where the myelin sheaths in the brain, it's the fatty coating, as we say, on the nerves. And if that starts breaking down, then the messages that go from the brain into the body get really messed up. And so people become very dysfunctional. They can't, sometimes, they become so immobile, they might have to even be in a wheelchair. So we want to correct these. And many times we can bring enough balance back that they're out of a wheelchair, that they feel better, that they find, the joy of life again. And that's what I love to do, is I love to see people heal. That's our God-given thing. We weren't meant to be sick. We're meant to be healthy. And I just really believe that Ayurveda and yoga together can really help to do this. Fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, they kind of are, they kind of cross barriers there. Sometimes it's known as chronic fatigue syndrome, sometimes fibromyalgia. But that is when people are really suffering from the fatigue of stress. They're not getting good sleep. They're not, they have a lot of aches and pains. They're, just trying to overcome things that they can't because their body's so out of balance. And with fibromyalgia, most of those people are not able to get a deep sleep, which we call the delta wave sleep. So if they can get that delta wave sleep, then the body can heal. We do a lot of healing during sleep. So it's really important that they get that. Some of the herbs can really help you to stay asleep, go to sleep, and maintain that sleep. Because sometimes it's easy to fall asleep, but we don't always stay asleep. So I really love to see healing in that regard. And of course, the gentle movement from yoga can come in. And always these days, for a long time, they had people in the olden days, they thought if a person was sick, they should sit. But actually, anytime the body has to keep moving, or else the muscles atrophy. So it's, it's so good to keep them moving. And even if it's only a very gentle movement that just brings circulation, betters the circulation, then, we're great. I also specialize in Parkinson's disease.
Oh, whoa.
Parkinson's disease is a terrible disease
Yeah.
these days. So many people that have been worked in industry, or they've worked in areas where they were exposed to fertilizers or chemicals or those kind of things, have a situation where they're not getting enough dopamine. Now, dopamine is our happy neurotransmitter. It's if you have dopamine, you're just, you're happy, you're smiling, you're you're ready to go. If this morning I'm full of dopamine, but if you don't get the dopamine, then your mobilization just pretty much stops.
Oh.
And so the person gets stuck. And if they don't take the dopamine on time or something, then they can just become stuck.
Sure.
And there are a couple of herbs that will produce dopamine, and and they're very interchangeable with what is offered by mainstream medicine. But what we try to do is give them a very active kind of yoga that brings a lot of action to their bodies and to their brains, because the more they stay active, the more they, are circulating with people and interacting with people, then, the brain stays healthier.
Okay.
So I'm also, joint disease is a big thing these days in like rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis. We have a lot of problems with that. A lot of that comes back to our food, our the overall diet of really, I think, the world population anymore. We see it here in America a lot. There's lots of fast foods. They're very high in fats and carbs, and they're not good fats, which of course, that that creates a lot of problems for us. And that is what the CDC, Centers for Disease Control here in the United States, has said, is that these are what are bringing on diabetes and many of the stress-related diseases. So those are my specialty areas. I work with other areas too. I'm versed in them in yoga. I have a certificate in central nervous system diseases, and of course my herbalism, and I'm getting ready to do my practicum as an herbalist, and I will be professional. I will get my professional certificate, so I'm very excited about that. But I love helping people, and I love to see them heal. There are many things that are here, and it's when I work with you, it's a very personalized way. I don't work with you as, okay, this is one patient, two patients. I work with you as an individual. Danique, if you had issues, I would say, okay, we'll work through these things. You will give me an individualized intake. I have a very lengthy sheet. You'll tell me all about how you feel, how you are feeling, how your body functions, blah, blah, blah. And then I would create a protocol for you specifically on how we would help you to heal and find balance. And so, of course, in all this, not only the personalized care, but we would work on stress reduction, clarity, and enhance your immunity. So these are all parts of my protocols.
Wow. And how did you come up with healing the person? Is there a moment in your life?
Yes, there is. I lost both of my parents to cancer when I was rather young. My children were very small, like they were 6 and 7, and my mom had uterine cancer. And it was a very big struggle for her. She was by herself, and finances were a big issue, and her insurance wasn't very good. She suffered immensely, both emotionally and as well as the physical portion of cancer. And I watched her go through it, and I watched her go through the chemotherapy, and I watched her go through radiation, and it just broke my heart. It just broke my heart. And I thought, there's got to be a better way than this. And so I had come on to a book, a story about, it's known as Esiac these days. Esiac is a herbal compound that a Canadian nurse found many years ago. And she came onto it, but it was written more recently with that story behind it. This woman, this older woman had been in Canada. Her husband was a geologist or some sort of person that worked in the fields. This is around the turn of the last century, like, 1890s, 1900. And they were in around the Toronto area. And she knew she was becoming sick. She didn't feel well, but she was out there with him, trucking around the fields with him and all that sort of thing. And she came upon a Chippewa Indian medicine man. And he could tell by looking at her that she was ill. And she says, I can help you. Or he said that to her. And so she said, well, like, what do you mean? Because this was very foreign to her, just like it is to us now. So he gave her some details. He says, I can tell that you're out of balance. I can tell that you need certain things, and I can find those for you. I can give those to you. Well, she kind of blew that off, and just, a little later on, her husband and her went to Toronto, and she went in to see about cancer therapy. The doctors gave her a diagnosis and everything, but they determined that it was going to be rather expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So they did not have the money. So they went back and they thought, well, what do we have to lose? Let's try the Indian medicine man.
Mm-hmm.
So he went back to her. He gave her a compound of herbs. She had breast cancer. She took it for like 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And what he did was it had coalesced into like a little boil on her breast. He lanced it, and apparently whatever came out was like cottage cheese.
Mm-hmm.
He sewed her up. She lived many years later. And when she was in a nursing home, Renee Cassé found her. And, she was taking care of her in her old age when she was getting a bath from Renee Cassé. And Renee asked her, what is that scar on your breast, if you don't mind my asking? And so the lady told her all about how the Chippewa medicine man had helped her and how it had healed her from all of the cancers that she had. And so she got the compound from this woman.
Mm-hmm.
And later took it into the medical system. She was in Canada also. So this would have been around Toronto, I'm assuming. It's been many years since I read the book, but it's still out there, and it's very much easily found. I've made it for many people before I got into Ayurveda, because there's also many people suffer from the cancer and going into the later stages and everything. Like anything, though, it's not a one size fits all. Everybody has to be treated as an individual. But Renee Cassé took that into and created her own little clinic. What she did to name it, she reversed her name. Her name was Cassé. So she reversed that to Esiac. And that's where that name comes from today. But it's still on the market. You can still find it. For a while, it was very suppressed here in the United States. It was called prairie tea. You could find it in different places, or you could buy the herbs yourself and compound them, which I have done. It's very, healing, very good, and it will heal other things. Again, because herbs heal many things. Sometimes the side effects are healing of other things. I remember reading about one woman who had the cancer, and she was also diabetic. When she finished the treatment of the Esiac, she didn't have either. So the lady that had the original breast cancer in this story lived many years past that, and lived into old age of her 80s.
Wow, what an impressive story. Wow.
Yeah,
And that made you like, okay, now I want to heal
I
people
want to do
myself.
more.
Oh
I want
yeah.
to do more. Yeah.
Wow. And how did you find out about all those herbs? How do you know this? Can you explain me more about
Sure.
how do you know that that is working? Tell
Got
me.
you. Well, back in when my kids were young,
Yeah.
and I have a bachelor's degree, which I got before them, in journalism. Uh, I when they were young, and I didn't have a whole lot more money than just to keep going. I found an herbalist program, and this was called a correspondence program. This was before the advent of the internet.
Mm.
That tells you how old I am. Um, but I did a correspondence course with this naturopathic doctor out of Mountain Home,
Mm.
Arkansas. And she covered all of the body systems.
Yeah.
We learned to create salves. We learned to make cough medicine. We learned to make tinctures and decoctions and all that sort of thing. And so I did that. And that was in the mid 90s. And so fast forward to this past 5 years. So this probably around 2018, 2019, I had gotten into yoga, and I had gotten into the yoga therapy because when I did 200-hour teacher training, we had a guest teacher come to our class, and she was a yoga therapist or
Mhm.
studying to be a yoga therapist at that time. And she was talking about how Krishnamacharya, who was one of the early yogis that came to this country and wanted to share yoga with
Mm.
the US, how he was healing people. He would go as a sort of a physician type thing to people, and he would basically heal them, not only with the yoga, but with
Mm.
Ayurveda and all of the sister sciences involved.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh, that sounds so cool. I would just love to do that, So after I finished my 200-hour teacher training, I found a yoga therapy class online. That's breathingdeeply.com. And
Mm.
I got my foundations yoga therapy from them. And so I was getting ready to do something with that. And then I ran on to KP Khalsa with his International Integrative Educational Institute. And he
Mhm.
is a brainiac. I'm telling you, he's been practicing herbalism for 50 years. He
Mhm.
teaches, his classes are so interesting. I just, it's
Yeah.
information just keeps coming. And I thought, I love this. I want to combine
Mhm.
this. I want to do these things so that I can help people find their balance. So that's where I am today. And I'm just ready to move forward with helping people, especially with diabetes, because
Mhm.
it's so much sweeping our world, and every country's having their problems with it. And so let me help you find
Yeah.
your balance again. If maybe we can reverse it, and even if we can't, we can help you find better comfort.
Oh, beautiful. So, if someone is work for you, they suffer with diabetes. How does this process goes? What can they expect?
Well, we would so much of our bad health is lack of good trace minerals. So
Mhm.
we find herbs. There are herbs especially that are great for helping diabetes.
Mhm.
One of them is called shilaji, and that is a Sanskrit word, and shilaji is basically a kind of form of earth,
Mhm.
and it brings nutrients back. But there's also things like Gymnema sylvestre. There are we've got several herbs that are very good. I don't have them here
Yeah.
sitting here with me.
And
um,
then you talk them online, or is it in person,
we
or
talk, well, either way.
okay.
I will work with people online,
Yeah.
um, and we will discuss,
Yeah.
the situation. They would give me this intake, and they would. I would know a great deal about their body history and
Mhm.
how they function and whatnot. Uh, and then, yes, I could work with them online for that.
Mhm.
Something more complicated, I would want to work in person if there's
Yeah.
a body alignment issue, or there are things
Mm.
that would
Yeah.
be a little bit more
Yeah.
needing an in-person kind of
Yeah.
protocol.
And in which area are you? If
I'm in the St. Louis, Missouri metropolitan area.
Okay. Okay.
And
Awesome.
I will travel to my client if they need me around here. If or they can come to my home, and but I will work online too with
Yeah.
many things.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. And where can people find you if they search for you? Okay, I need help with my diabetes. So they can find you on BU. And
Yes,
where are you also available? Where can they book you as well? On BU. And can they find
and
you
I
on
have my own
Wellbeing?
personal website, which
Tell
is
me.
https colon
Mm-hmm.
/ infinity healing yoga therapy.com.
Awesome. I will drop it in the description box below. So
Okay.
thank you very much for sharing. Also for where you are based, so people know where they can find you if they want to have personal services in person. And what is something that people can do right away to improve their holistic health? What would you like to share?
Watch what you're eating. Eat lots of leafy green vegetables. Eat, lots of fruits and vegetables. Cut back on, don't eat fast food. Go for nice lean proteins, beef, chicken, fish. That's what we really want to see. And, drink a lot of water, really hydrate yourself. Make sure that you're getting exercise. Exercise is and movement is imperative to your health. You cannot be sedentary and without having problems from being sedentary.
I need to move way more. I need to go. I don't know what to do there.
Right.
Yeah, a good one. And about a lot of vegetables, can you share? Is there something specific why you think like, okay, this is a really good one?
There are some, and you will see studies out there that cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cauliflower, those ones are bad for certain things. Sometimes I have run on to diabetics that say they don't eat the cruciferous vegetables. Well, there might be something specific about their chemistry that they were told not to do that, and I honor that. But I think the cruciferous vegetables like that, the broccoli, the cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, I think those are all good. But if those are out of the picture for you, then eat a lot of spinach, a lot of leafy green vegetables, because those have folic acid, and we absolutely need folic acid in our diet. Tomatoes, eggplant, potatoes, those all fall into their own category, the nightshades. So you want to, as long as the nightshades don't bother you, eat them and enjoy them. Sweet potatoes, yams, those are both good. But and the more starchy ones like potatoes, carrots, those tend to be a little bit more starchy, but those are good because the carrots have the beta carotene in them. So yeah, so any of those vegetables, as long as your body tolerates them, are all good.
Yeah, awesome. And about the yoga pose. So if we want to work on our yoga, what is the most important yoga pose we need to practice?
Okay, I would say that, and again, it comes down to an individual thing. I do teach individual yoga classes. So if you just want yoga classes, I can do that too. I do that according to age, according to your own physical needs. For seniors, of course, I do slower, a little bit less. Sometimes we use a chair. We want to make it safe.
Yeah.
But we, getting movement in, and like for seniors, and actually anyone, we have one series of movement called the joint freeing series. And that's really just to, make the joints move and just bring gentle movement into your body. can
Yeah,
talk
and
about.
for the people who are sitting behind the computer all day, what is
Yeah, they
the
need to be doing stuff where they're getting gentle back bends
yeah. Okay.
because we do hunch over. So yeah, if
Yeah.
you so like in
Okay, awesome.
yeah, in yoga, if you know yoga terminology, you do the upward dog or the
Okay.
cobra. So
Yeah.
you'd be arching, making
Yeah.
nice gentle arching of your back. And camel, camel is good for those things too.
Mm-hmm.
And just stretching the muscles that are here in the shoulders so
Yeah.
that you're getting it, and just gentle neck movement. It's
Okay.
good to get up, every hour. I don't know
Everyone.
about you, but if you have a fitness watch, it will, you have a
Yes.
little thing that says, get up now, get up now.
You don't know.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to get up. It's good to
Yeah.
give your body some, gentle exercise so that you can move forward and you feel better for your day and
Yeah.
end up with less stress at the end of the day.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I need to grab my watch.
Set
I find it so
it
annoying.
up for that. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So thank you so much for this interview with you. Thank you so much for sharing your insight. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I cannot wait to see you help so many people worldwide and healing people from diabetes. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
if you would love to book Jill, check out the description box below. And we would love to see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Denny.
Ciao, ciao.